statue of Zethkar, his machine body reaching out as if offering friendship to unseen companions. "He saved us all," said a familiar voice behind her. Elena turned to see Keflin approaching in a new, less warlike mechanical body. The young Veltar had become the leader of those who chose to embrace biological life rather than destroy it. "He showed us that redemption is possible," Elena replied, "that anyone can change if they are willing to learn." Next to the statue was a plaque with words that Katie Harper had written. "To our friend Zethkar, who taught us that love is stronger than hate, and that family is made by choice, not birth." 5 years later, Elena worked as the director of the first integrated research station where humans, Korvani, Shardake, Fluxans, and reformed Veltar all studied together. The galaxy was healing, and new alliances were forming between species that had once been enemies. Ambassador Grace Turner was hosting a conference on Earth, where representatives from dozens of races worked together to rebuild civilization. The hall was filled with beings of every shape and size, all united by their commitment to peace and cooperation. In the audience, Elena saw Katie Harper, now 13 years old, and studying to become a xenobiologist like her role model. Next to Katie sat a young Veltar named Zethrin, who had taken his name in honor of the hero who started the change. "Do you really think he knew this would happen?" Katie asked Elena after the conference. Elena thought about her lost friend and smiled. "I think he hoped it would." Zethkar believed that understanding could overcome hatred. He proved that even the most bitter enemies can become friends if they are willing to try. As the conference ended, Elena watched the various species mingling together, sharing stories and ideas. Children from different races played together in the gardens outside, just as Katie and the young Korvani had done years before. The galaxy still had problems. There were still those who preferred isolation to cooperation. But the foundation had been laid for something beautiful, a civilization, where differences were celebrated rather than feared. Elena looked up at the stars and whispered a thank you to the friend who had made it all possible. Zethkar had come to them as an exile, with nothing to offer but his pain. He had left them with a legacy that would echo through the ages. He had taught them all that love truly was stronger than hate, and that redemption was always possible for those brave enough to change. In the end, that was the greatest victory of all. Zethkar's ship approached the massive Veltar world ship Eternal Dominion slowly. The giant vessel was home to billions of energy beings, all connected in a vast network of shared consciousness. As he got closer, Zethkar could feel the familiar mental pressure of his people's collective thoughts. They were angry. They were afraid, and they were preparing for the complete destruction of all biological life in the galaxy. "Defective Unit Zethkar," came the cold voice of his former teacher, War Prime Nexus Evalu. "You return to face judgment for your crimes against our people." "I return to share truth," Zethkar replied through the communication system. "I have learned things that will change how we see the universe." "You have been contaminated by biological thinking," Nexus Evalu responded. "You will be cleansed and recycled into a proper Veltar citizen." Zethkar's ship was pulled into the world ship by powerful tractor beams. As he was escorted through the vast corridors, he saw thousands of energy beings in their mechanical bodies, all preparing for war. Their lights pulsed in perfect synchronization, showing their unity of purpose. He was brought before the Supreme Collective, the ruling council of all Veltar. Their combined presence was overwhelming, like standing in front of a star. Zethkar had to focus all his energy just to remain conscious. "You have brought shame to our species," said the Prime Speaker, the voice of the collective. "You have forgotten your purpose and your duty." "I have found my purpose," Zethkar replied. "I have learned what it means to truly live, not just exist." The collective buzzed with anger at his words. "Biological contamination," they said, remove his memories, rebuild him as a proper warrior. But before they could begin the process, Zethker activated the memory transfer device that Paul and the Paul Corvani had built. Instantly, his experiences with the Alliance began flowing into the Veltar network. The collective recoiled in shock as images of human kindness flooded their shared consciousness. They saw Elena risking her life to save a dying stranger. They experienced Jake's willingness to fight impossible odds to protect someone who asked for help. They felt the love that Beth and Katie Harper showed to someone completely different from themselves. Lies, the collective screamed. Biological deception. But the memories were too real to be fake. Zethker had lived these moments, felt these emotions. Through the neural link, every Veltar in the network could experience them as if they had been there themselves. The reaction was immediate and chaotic. Some Veltar rejected the memories completely, calling them contamination that needed to be purged. But others, especially the younger ones, began to question everything they had been taught. "Is this what biological life really looks like?" asked a young warrior named Kathleen. "Are they truly capable of such beauty?" "Silence," roared Nexus of Volume. "Do not let this poison infect your thoughts." But it was too late. The memories continued to spread through the network like a virus. Veltar across the worldship began arguing with each other, something that had not happened in thousands of years. Meanwhile, in Alliance space, the final cleansing had begun. Massive Veltar fleets attacked every known survivor settlement simultaneously. Captain Roy Mitchell led the defense of Kepler Station, while Elena coordinated resistance efforts across multiple systems. "The Shard 8 colony is under attack," Amy reported from the communication center. "They are holding for now, but they need help." Elena looked at the tactical display. Red markers showed Veltar fleets everywhere. Even with their new quantum weapons, the Alliance forces were vastly outnumbered. "Send Roy's squadron to help the Shard 8, Elena ordered. "Have the Corvani fleet support the Fluxon home base." Colonel Steve Adams commanded the defense of Earth itself. 3 Veltar fleets were approaching the human homeworld, intent on destroying the race that had started this rebellion. "All ships, this is Colonel Adams," Steve broadcast to the human fleet. "Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for every living being in the galaxy. Make every shot count." The battles raged across dozens of systems. The Alliance fought with courage and determination, but they were slowly being overwhelmed. Elena watched the tactical reports with growing despair. Unless something changed soon, the Veltar would achieve their goal of galactic genocide. Back on the Veltar worldship, the internal conflict was growing stronger. Zethkar's memories had divided the collective consciousness for the first time in their history. Young Veltar were openly questioning their elders, demanding to know why biological life had to be destroyed. "They showed us kindness when they could have let us die," argued Keflin. "They protected us when they gained nothing from it. How can such beings be evil?" "Because biological life is chaos," Nexus of Volume replied. "They spread disorder and weakness wherever they go. Order requires their destruction." But even as he spoke, Nexus of Volume could feel doubt creeping into his own thoughts. The memories from Zethker were powerful, showing experiences he had never imagined possible. He tried to reject them, but they felt too real to ignore. The Supreme Collective was fracturing. Some members wanted to continue the final cleansing. Others demanded that it be stopped until they could study these new revelations. The argument grew so intense that the world-ship systems began to malfunction. Zethker, still connected to the network, felt his consciousness beginning to burn out from the strain. The memory transfer was destroying his mind, but he pushed forward anyway. He had one more gift to share, the recording of Katie Harper teaching a young Corvani to draw, the image of the human child and the cybernetic alien working together. In friendship sent shockwaves through the Veltar network. Even the oldest and most rigid council members paused to consider what they were seeing. "If a child can accept what is different," Sethgar whispered as his strength failed, "why cannot we?" Those were his last words before his consciousness shattered completely. But his sacrifice had achieved something impossible. He had planted seeds of doubt in the minds of his people. The civil war within the Veltar lasted only hours, but its effects were immediate. Half of their fleet stopped attacking Alliance targets and turned back toward their own space to deal with the internal crisis. The other half, led by the most fanatical commanders, continued the assault. Elena saw the change on her tactical display. "Some of the Veltar fleets are withdrawing," she reported to the Alliance commanders. "Zethgar did it. He actually did it." But the remaining Veltar forces were still dangerous. The battle for survival continued across the galaxy as the Alliance fought against enemies who would never accept peace. On Earth, Colonel Steve's fleet was holding the line against overwhelming odds. Just when defeat seemed certain, a new group of ships appeared, Veltar vessels with different markings, led by the young warrior Kethlin. "Human defenders," came a familiar but different voice over the communication system. "We are Veltar, who have chosen a new path. We fight with you now against the destroyers of life." Elena could hardly believe what she was hearing. Zethkar's sacrifice had not only divided the Veltar, it had converted some of them to their cause. The tide of battle began to turn. With reformed Veltar fighting alongside the Alliance, the fanatical fleets found themselves outnumbered and outmaneuvered. One by one, they were defeated or forced to retreat to the far edges of the galaxy. 3 months after the final cleansing began, it was over. The galaxy was still damaged and scarred, but biological life had survived. More importantly, it now had protectors among the very race that had once tried to destroy it. Elena stood in the memorial garden that had been built on Kepler Station to honor those who died in the war. In the center was 3 months had passed since Alana's team returned from finding the Corvani. During that time, Captain Roy Mitchell and his ship New Horizon had visited 8 different survivor settlements. Each group they found added new strength to the growing Alliance. The crystalline Shardake had survived by hiding inside asteroids, using their natural ability to turn into living rock. The shape-shifting Flakaians had escaped by taking the forms of space debris, floating silent and still until the Veltar moved on. Each race had its own story of survival and its own reason to hate their destroyers. But bringing these groups together was not easy. Many of the survivors did not trust each other, and some refused to trust Zethgar at all. "He is still Veltar," said Commander Krexhall of the Shard Ek during a meeting on Kepler Station. His crystalline body flashed red with anger. "How do we know this is not a trap?" Ambassador Grace Turner had come from Earth to help with these difficult negotiations. She was an older woman with silver hair and patient eyes. She had spent her life bringing different groups together. "I understand your fear," Grace said calmly. "But we cannot fight this war if we spend all our time fighting each other. Zethgar has proven his loyalty many times." Zethgar sat quietly during these meetings, letting the others argue about whether to trust him. Elena could see that their words hurt him, but he never complained or got angry. Dr. Paul Rivera had been working with Zethgar to develop new weapons based on Veltar weaknesses. "Look at these test results," Paul said, showing the Alliance leaders his data. "Zethkar's knowledge has helped us create weapons that can actually hurt Veltar ships. The weapons used special quantum frequencies that could disrupt the energy patterns that made up Veltar consciousness. It was the first time anyone had found a way to truly threaten the alien conquerors. But even as the Alliance grew stronger, Elena knew they were running out of time. Amy's intelligence reports showed Veltar fleets gathering in several systems. They were preparing for something big. They know about us, Amy told the Alliance Council during an emergency meeting. Our spies report that the Veltar are calling. This the final cleansing. They want to destroy all remaining biological life in the galaxy. Elena felt cold fear in her stomach. How long do we have? Maybe 6 months, Amy said. Maybe less. The Alliance had grown to include 15 different survivor groups, but they were still vastly outnumbered by the Veltar. Even with their new weapons, Elena was not sure they could win a direct fight. We need to strike first, argued General Lexim of the Fluxians. Hit them before they are ready. No, said Keeper Nixal of the Corvani. We are not strong enough. Yet, we need more time to prepare. The arguments went on for hours. Elena watched Zethker during the debate. He looked sad and tired. Finally, he stood up and spoke. There is another way, Zethker said quietly. But it would require me to return to my people. The room went silent. Everyone stared at the alien who had become their unlikely ally. That is suicide, Alana said. They will kill you the moment they see you. Maybe, Zethker agreed, but maybe not. I know my people better than anyone. They are not evil by nature. They have been taught that biological life is dangerous and must be destroyed. But if I could show them the truth, if I could make them understand what I have learned here. You want to try to convert them? Roy asked. Turn them against their own war? Not all of them, Zethker said. But some might listen, especially the younger ones who have not yet fully accepted the old ways. Elena shook her head. It is, too. Dangerous. We cannot risk losing you. Zethkar's blue light grew brighter. Elena, you taught me that some things are worth dying for. If I can stop this war and save millions of lives, is that not worth the risk? Grace leaned forward in her chair. What exactly are you proposing? Zethker explained his plan. He would return to Veltar space carrying proof of what he had learned among the Alliance races. Using a direct neural link, he could share his memories and experiences with other Veltar. If even a few of them began to question their beliefs, it might start a civil war within their society. The Veltar have always been united in their hatred of biological life, Zethker said. But if some of them begin to see beauty instead of disease, if they start to value life instead of destroying it, then their unity will break. Paul studied the technical aspects of the plan. A neural link technology exists. We could modify it to carry compressed memory files. But the process would be extremely dangerous for Zethker. How dangerous? Elena asked. The memory transfer might burn out his consciousness completely, Paul said. He could die even if the plan works. Elena looked around the room at all the Alliance leaders. She could see them thinking, weighing the risks against the potential benefits. Finally, Commander Krexol spoke. If the energy being is willing to make this sacrifice, then perhaps he truly has changed. Perhaps he is no longer our enemy. Other leaders nodded their agreement. Even those who had been most suspicious of Zethker were impressed by his willingness to risk everything for races that were not his own. But Elena was not ready to accept it. There has to be another way. We can fight them with our new weapons. We can... Elena, Zethker interrupted gently. You have given me the greatest gift anyone has ever given me. You taught me what it means to belong somewhere. You showed me that different kinds of life can live together in peace. Now let me give that gift to others. Elena felt tears in her eyes. She had grown to care about Zethker like a brother. The thought of losing him was almost unbearable. I will go with you, she said suddenly. If you are going to do this, you should not go alone. No, Zethker said firmly. This is something I must do by myself. But knowing that you would offer means everything to me. The Alliance spent 2 weeks preparing for Zethkar's mission. Paul and the Corvani engineers worked together to build the memory transfer device. Amy helped plan the safest route to Veltar space. Roy prepared a fast ship that could get Zethkar close to his destination. During this time, Elena spent many hours with Zethkar, helping him select which memories to include in the transfer. They chose moments that showed the best of each alliance race: human courage and compassion, Corvani ingenuity and perseverance, Shardak wisdom and patience. "Include this," Elena said, showing him a recording of little Katie Harper teaching a young Corvani how to draw pictures. "Show them that our children can be friends." Zethkar studied the recording. "This is beautiful. On my world, children are taught to hate from the moment they are created, but here they are taught to love." Beth Harper had recorded a special message for Zethkar to take with him. "Tell your people that words and ideas can be more powerful than weapons," she said in the recording. "Tell them that choosing love over hate is the greatest victory anyone can achieve." On the day of departure, the entire Alliance gathered to see Zethkar off. Elena gave him a small device containing recordings from every race in the Alliance, messages of hope and friendship that he could share with any Veltar who would listen. "Remember," Elena said as they hugged goodbye, "you are not just representing yourself. You are representing all of us. Show them what you have become." Zethkar's light pulsed with determination. "I will make you proud, all of you." As Zethkar's ship disappeared into hyperspace, Elena felt a mixture of hope and fear. The alien who had crashed near their station as a broken exile was now their best hope for ending a galactic war. But even as Zethkar traveled toward his people, Veltar fleets were already moving toward Alliance space. War Prime Nexus Volume had convinced the Veltar Council that the biological races had become too dangerous to ignore. The final cleansing would begin whether Zethkar succeeded or not. Elena looked up at the stars and whispered a prayer for her friend. The fate of every living being in the galaxy now rested in the hands of someone who had once been their enemy. In the distance, Amy was receiving new intelligence reports. The Veltar war fleets were larger than anyone had imagined. Even if Zethkar's mission succeeded, the Alliance would still have to fight for their survival. The final battle was coming, and Elena was not sure they were ready for it. 6 months had passed since the battle at Kepler Station. The station was now hidden behind a large asteroid, and Earth had sent more ships to help protect it. But Jake knew they needed more than just ships and weapons to fight the Veltar. Zethkar had become a valued member of the crew. He worked with the humans every day, sharing everything he knew about his people and their technology. His machine body had been improved by Tony, and he could now move around like any other crew member. Elena had spent many hours talking with Zethkar about the galaxy beyond human space. She learned that the Veltar had destroyed many other races over the years, but some survivors might still be alive, hiding in the far corners of space. There was a race called the Corvani, Zethkar told her one day as they worked in the lab. "My people attacked them 5 years ago. We thought we killed them all, but some might have escaped. Where would they go?" Elena asked. "The dark zones," Zethkar said. "Places where even the Veltar do not like to go. The survivors hide there, too afraid to come out." Colonel Steve Adams had arrived from Earth 2 weeks ago with a team of soldiers and intelligence experts. He was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. He listened carefully to everything Zethkar said about the galaxy. "If there are survivors out there, we need to find them," Steve said during their daily meeting. "They know how to fight the Veltar. They have experience we need." Amy Foster, one of Steve's intelligence analysts, spread a map of the galaxy on the table. "Zethkar has marked several areas where survivors might be hiding, but reaching them will be dangerous." Elena looked at the map. The dark zones were far from human space, through areas controlled by the Veltar, How do we get there without being caught? Very carefully, said Rick Coleman, a pilot who had come with Steve's team. Rick was young and brave, with a smile. That made everyone feel better. I know some secret routes. Pirates and smugglers use them to avoid the big patrols. Dr. Lavra Kim, the team's medic, was studying Zethkar's files about the survivor races. The Corvani were a cybernetic people, half machine, half biological. If they survived, they might be very different now. Zethkar's light dimmed with sadness. The survivors are often broken in their minds. The Veltar attacks are designed to destroy not just bodies, but spirits. Many who escape go mad from the horror they have seen. Elena felt sorry for these unknown survivors. We still have to try. They need help, and we need their knowledge. Jake agreed to let Elena lead a small team to search for survivors. It would be dangerous, but they needed all eyes if they were going to stop the Veltar from destroying more races. The team included Elena, Rick, Lara, and Zethkar. They would travel in a small, fast ship that could hide from Veltar patrols. Amy would coordinate from Kepler Station, using her communication skills to help them navigate. Before they left, Elena spent time with Professor Beth Harper, a language expert who had come to study Zethkar's people. Beth was a kind woman with brown hair and warm eyes. She had brought her young daughter Katie with her to the station. I wish I could come with you, Beth said as they prepared for the mission. But Katie needs me here. 8-year-old Katie was not afraid of Zethkar like some adults were. She often came to visit him in the lab, asking questions about his home and his people. Zethkar was always patient with her, explaining things in simple words she could understand. Will you bring back more friends like Zethkar? Katie asked Elena. I hope so, Elena said. Everyone deserves to have friends. Zethkar knelt down to Katie's level. His machine body made soft humming sounds as he moved. While I am gone, will you take care of the plants in the lab? Yes, Katie said happily. I will water them every day. Elena watched this interaction with interest. Zethkar had learned so much about human emotions in just 6 months. He understood friendship, kindness, and care in ways his own people never. The journey to the first dark zone took 3 days. Rick was an excellent pilot, guiding their ship through dangerous asteroid fields and past Veltar patrol routes. Zethkar helped by watching for enemy signals and warning them when to hide. The Corvani base should be in this system, Zethkar said, as they approached a cluster of dead planets. But I do not see anything. Elena scanned the area with their sensors. Maybe they are hiding. How do we let them know we are friends? Zethkar thought for a moment. The Corvani had a special code they used for emergencies. If any survived, they might still use it. They broadcast the emergency code for several hours. Finally, a weak signal came back from one of the planets. It was not words, but a series of numbers that repeated over and over. Mathematical sequences, Lara said, studying the signal. They are testing us to see if we are intelligent. Elena worked with Zethkar to solve the math problems in the signal. When they sent back the correct answers, a stronger signal came from the planet's surface. Welcome, strangers, said a voice that sounded like metal and wind together. We are surprised to find anyone looking for us. Most beings prefer to forget we exist. Rick landed their ship on the planet's surface near the signal source. The world was cold and dark, with no sun to warm it. As they left their ship, Elena could see lights moving in the distance. 3 figures approached them across the rocky ground. Elena gasped when she saw them clearly. The Corvani had once been similar to humans, but now they were more machine than biological. Their bodies were a mix of metal parts and organic pieces, all held together by glowing cables. I am Keeper Nixow, said the leader, a being whose face was half flesh and half metal screen. You are the first visitors we have had in 3 years. Zethker stepped forward carefully. I am Zethker of the Veltar. I know my people destroyed your world. I came to say I'm sorry and to ask for your help. The three Corvani stepped back. Quickly, their metal parts made clicking sounds as they prepared to defend themselves. Veltar, said Nixal. You brought our destroyers here. No, Elena said quickly. Zethker is different. He left his people because he refused to hurt innocent races. We are all fighting against the Veltar now. Elena explained about Kepler Station and the battle they had fought. She told them about the alliance they were trying to build. Slowly, the Corvani began to relax. You really fight against your own people? Nixal asked Zethker. They are not. My people anymore? Zethker replied. My people are the ones who accepted me when I had nothing. Humans showed me what it means to have a family. Nixal led them to the Corvani settlement. It was built inside a series of caves and tunnels deep, underground. Elena was amazed to see hundreds of survivors living there, all of them changed by their need to hide and survive. We have lived in darkness for 5 years, Nixal explained. We are afraid to use too much power or make too much noise. The Veltar might find us. Elena met many Corvani over the next 2 days. Some were engineers who had built amazing hidden technology. Others were soldiers who remembered how to fight Veltar ships. A few were historians who had saved the stories of their destroyed civilization. But Elena also saw the damage the attack had done to them. Many Corvani sat alone in dark corners, too afraid to speak to strangers. Some had replaced so much of their bodies with machines that they barely seemed alive anymore. The worst part is not knowing, said Engineer Veltar, a young Corvani who had lost both arms in the attack. We do not know if any other settlements survived. We do not know if our friends and families in other systems are alive or dead. Lavra worked with the Corvani medics to help treat some of the psychological damage. They need hope, she told Elena. They need to know they are not alone. Elena had an idea. What if we could find other survivor groups? What if we could connect? You all together? Nixal's metal eye glowed brighter. You would do that? Help us find our lost people? That is what friends do, Elena said. They help each other. Zethker was working with the Corvani engineers, sharing his knowledge of Veltar technology. Look at this, he told Elena excitedly. They have found a way to hide entire planets from Veltar sensors. If we can improve this technology, we can protect many more people. On their last day with the Corvani, Nixal called all the survivors together for a meeting. These strangers have given us something we had lost, he said. They have given us hope. For the first time in 5 years, we believe we might survive and rebuild. Elena stood up to address the crowd. You are not just survivors anymore. You are part of an alliance. Together, we will make sure the Veltar never destroy another world. As they prepared to leave, Nixal gave Elena a small device. This contains the locations of 12 other survivor settlements we know about. Some may still be alive. Find them. Connect us all. Help us become strong again. Elena looked at the device, then at Zethker. This is just the beginning, she said. We are going to change everything. But as their ship left the dark planet, none of them knew that Veltar spies had been watching. The enemy now knew about the growing alliance, and they were already making plans to destroy it before it could become too strong. The real war was about to begin. 3 days had passed since they brought Zethker to Kepler Station. Tony worked hard to fix the alien's damaged body. Elena spent hours talking with Zethker, learning about his people and his long journey through space. Zethker was getting stronger. His blue light was brighter now, and he could move around the station in his repaired machine body. The crew was getting used to having him there. Some were still nervous, but most found him interesting and friendly. Look at this, Lisa said suddenly from her communication desk. Her voice was tight with worry. I am getting signals from far away. Big ships are coming toward us. Jake hurried to look at her screen. 3 large objects were moving through space in their direction. They were still far away, but coming fast. How long until they get here? Jake asked. 6 hours, Lisa said. Maybe less. Elena felt cold fear in her stomach. She looked at Zefker, who had gone very still. His blue light was dim with fear. They found me, Zefker said quietly. My people found me. Danny grabbed his weapon. How many ships? 3 warships, Zefker said. Each one has more weapons than 100 of your stations. They will destroy everything. Jake felt the weight of command on his shoulders. Kepler Station had 200 people. They had families, dreams, and lives to live. But they also had Zefker, who had come to them for help. We could give him back to them, Danny suggested. Maybe they will leave us alone. No, Elena said, firmly. Zefker came to us for protection. He is one of us now. Elena is right, Jake said. We do not hand over people who ask for our help. That is not who we are. Zefkar's light flickered with surprise. You would fight for me? You barely know me. We know enough, Jake replied. You are a good person who stood up for what is right. That makes you worth fighting for. The next few hours passed quickly. Jake called all the crew together and explained the situation. He told them they could choose to leave on the small ships if they wanted. No one left. We stick together, said Dr. Rivera. That is what humans do. Tony worked with Zefker to understand the enemy ships. They have energy weapons that can cut through our shields like paper, Zefker explained. But they also have a weakness. What weakness? Tony asked. They think they are better than everyone else. They do not expect small enemies to fight back. If we surprise them, we might have a chance. Danny organized the station's defenses. They had some weapons, but nothing compared to what was coming. We need a plan that uses our brains, not our guns, he said. Elena continued talking with Zefker, learning everything she could about his people. Tell me about their leader, she said. The one coming for me is called War Prime Nexus of Volume, Zefker said sadly. He was my teacher long ago. He trained me to be a warrior. When I refused to kill innocent people, he felt like I had betrayed him personally. Maybe we can talk to him, Elena suggested. Zefkar's light grew dim. He does not listen to words anymore, only to violence. When the enemy ships arrived, they were huge and terrible. Each one was 10 times bigger than Kepler Station. They moved into position around the station, like hunters surrounding their prey. Small human station, came a voice over the communication system. The voice was cold and mechanical. You have something that belongs to us. Give us the defective unit, and you will not be harmed. Jake activated the station's communication system. His voice was calm and strong. This is Commander Jake Morrison of Kepler Station. The being you call defective is under our protection. He has asked for sanctuary, and we have given it to him. There was silence for a moment. Then the cold voice spoke again. You do not understand, small creatures. We are the Veltar. We have destroyed many races stronger than yours. Return our property, or we will take it from your dead bodies. Zefker is not property, Jake replied. He is a free being who made his own choice. We will not give him to you. Elena watched Zefker during this conversation. The alien was shaking with fear, but also with something else. Hope. No one had ever stood up for him before. They really will not give me back, Zefker whispered. Even though it means they will die. That is right, Elena said. Because it is the right thing to do. On the enemy flagship, War Prime Nexus of Volume was angry. He had expected the humans to be afraid and give up quickly. Instead, They were protecting his former student. "Destroy one of their small ships," he ordered. "Show them we are serious." A beam of red energy shot out from the lead Veltar ship. It hit a small cargo vessel that was docked to the station. The ship disappeared in a flash of light. "That was a warning," the cold voice said. "Give us the defective unit now." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. The cargo ship had been empty, but it could have had people in it. Our answer is still no. Elena had an idea. "Zethkar, can you contact their ships directly? Maybe if you talk to them yourself, you can make them understand." "I can try," Zethkar said, "but they will not listen to me." Zethkar sent a signal to the lead ship. When War Prime Nexus Volume answered, his voice was full of anger and disappointment. "Student," Nexus Volume said, "you have brought shame to our people. You have forgotten what we taught you." "Teacher," Zethkar replied, "I remember everything you taught me. You taught me to think for myself. You taught me to question everything. When I questioned our wars against innocent races, I found them wrong." "Innocent?" Nexus Val's voice was cold. "No biological race is innocent. They are all diseased. They spread like infection across the galaxy. We cleanse the universe by destroying them." "No," Zethkar said firmly. "I have lived with humans for only a few days, but I have seen more kindness and courage than in all my years with our people. They risk their lives for a stranger. They choose to do right even when it is dangerous. This is not disease. This is beauty." Nexus Volume was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke again, and his voice was sad. "You are truly lost to us. Very well. We will take you back by force. And these humans will die for poisoning your mind." The communication ended. Jake looked around at his crew. They all knew what was coming. "All right, people," Jake said. "We have about 2 minutes before they attack. Everyone to battle stations. Remember the plan. The plan was simple but risky. Tony had worked with Zethkar to find a way to overload the station's main reactor. If they could create a big enough explosion at the right time, they might damage the enemy ships. I should be the one to do it," Zethkar said. "This is my fault. I should not let you die for me." "No," Elena said. "We do this together, or not at all." The Veltar ships began firing their weapons. The station's shields held for a few seconds, then started to fail. Red energy beams cut through the outer sections of the station. "Now!" Jake shouted. Tony activated the overload sequence. At the same time, Zethkar used his knowledge of Veltar technology to send a virus into their computer systems. The combination of the explosion and the virus created chaos among the enemy ships. One of the Veltar vessels was badly damaged. The other two had to pull back to avoid more damage. It was not a victory, but it was survival. "This is not over," came Nexus Val's voice over the communication system. "We will return with more ships. And next time, nothing will save you." The 3 enemy ships disappeared into the darkness of space, leaving Kepler Station damaged but alive. Elena found Zethkar in the medical bay, where Tony was repairing damage to his body from the battle. The alien's light was dim with sadness. "I am sorry," Zethkar said. "I brought this danger to you. Maybe Danny was right. Maybe you should have given me to them." Elena sat down next to him. "Do not say that. We did the right thing, and we will keep doing the right thing, no matter what comes." "But they will come back," Zethkar said, "and they will bring more ships. Then we will be ready for them," Jake said as he entered the medical bay. "And we will not be alone. There are other humans out there, other stations and ships. When they hear what happened here, they will come to help." Zethkar looked at the humans around him. They were tired and hurt, but they were not giving up. They were not angry at him for bringing danger to their home. Instead, they were planning how to protect him better, For the first time in his long life, Zethker understood what it meant to have a family. The alarm bells rang loud across Kepler Station. Dr. Elena Rodriguez dropped her coffee cup and ran toward the control room. Her boots made sharp sounds on the metal floor as she moved through the narrow hallways. "What is happening?" Elena asked. As she reached the main deck, Commander Jake Morrison stood looking at the big screen that showed space around their station. "Something crashed near us," Jake said. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed worry. "Tony thinks it might be a ship." Tony Blake, the chief engineer, pointed at the radar display. "It came from nowhere. Just appeared and hit one of our small asteroids. The crash was big." Elena moved closer to the screen. She could see a small object floating in space, about 2 miles from their station. It looked broken and dark. No lights came from it. "Is anyone alive in there?" she asked. "We do." "Not know yet," said Lisa Park from her communication desk. "I am trying to contact them, but getting no answer." Jake rubbed his chin. He was thinking hard. Kepler Station was far from Earth and other human places. They were here to study space and look for new things. But finding crashed ships was not part of their job. "We should help them," Elena said. "If someone is hurt, they need our help." "It could be dangerous," Jake replied. "We do not know who they are or where they came from." Elena looked at the broken ship on the screen. She thought about someone trapped inside, maybe dying while they talked. "We have to try. It is the right thing to do." Jake looked around the room. All his crew members were watching him. He saw Tony nodding his head. Lisa looked worried, but ready to help. Danny Walsh, their security chief, had his hand on his weapon, but was not saying no. "Okay," Jake said finally. "Tony, get the rescue ship ready. Elena, you come with me. Danny, you too. Lisa, keep trying to talk to them." 20 minutes later, Elena sat in the small rescue ship next to Jake and Danny. Tony was flying them toward the crashed object. As they got closer, Elena could see it better. The ship was strange. It was made of dark metal that seemed to bend light around it. She had never seen anything like it. "That is not human," Danny said quietly. "Look at the shape. No human would build something like that." Elena felt her heart beat faster. In all her years studying alien life, she had only found small creatures and plants. This was the first time she might meet an intelligent alien being. The rescue ship connected to the crashed vessel with a soft bump. Tony checked the air between the two ships. "The air is good," he said, "but be careful. We do not know what is inside." Jake opened the door first. Danny followed with his weapon ready. Elena came last, carrying her medical equipment. The inside of the alien ship was dark and cold. Their lights showed walls covered with symbols that glowed faintly blue. "Hello?" Jake called out. "Is anyone here? We want to help." A weak sound came from deeper in the ship. It sounded like metal scraping against metal. Elena moved toward the sound, and the others followed her. They found the alien in what looked like a control room. Elena stopped and stared. The being was not like anything she had ever imagined. It looked like it was made of bright blue energy, but the energy was trapped inside a machine body. The machine was damaged. Sparks came from broken parts, and the blue light was getting weaker. "Please," the alien said in a voice that sounded like wind through metal. "Help me." Elena moved closer. She was not afraid anymore. The alien sounded hurt and scared, just like any person would be. "We want to help you. Can you tell us what you need?" The alien's light got a little brighter. "My body is broken. I am dying. Please do not let me die alone." Elena looked at Jake. He nodded at her. She knelt down next to the alien machine. "What is your name?" "I am Zethker," the alien said. I come from far away. My people, they threw me out. They said I was wrong to think like I do. What did you think that was wrong? Elena asked gently. Zethkar's light flickered. I said we should not kill other races. I said all life is good. But my people think only we should live. They want to destroy everyone else. Danny stepped back and raised his weapon. Jake, this thing might be dangerous. Its people sound like killers. But Elena stayed close to Zethkar. You do not think like your people. That is why they threw you out, right? Yes, Zethkar said sadly. I ran away when they tried to make me help kill innocent beings. I have been flying alone for many days. I thought I would die in space with no one to care. Elena felt sorry for the alien. She understood what it was like to be different from others. You are not alone now. We will help you. Tony looked at the damaged machine body. I think I can fix some of this, but we need to get him back to the station. I need my tools. Jake made his decision. We take him with us. Elena is right. We help people who need help. That is what humans do. They carefully moved Zethkar to the rescue ship. Elena stayed with him during the trip back to Kepler Station. She asked him questions about his people and his journey. Zethkar seemed happy to have someone to talk to. Your people sound kind, Zethkar said as they reached the station. My people would have left me to die. That is the difference between us and them, Elena said. We believe every life has value. When they brought Zethkar on the Kepler station, the whole crew came to see him. Some looked scared, but most looked curious. Elena explained what had happened and what Zethkar had told them. So his people are killers, but he is not? Asked Dr. Paul Rivera, another scientist. That is right, Elena said. He refused to kill, so they threw him out. Jake looked at his crew. We will help him fix his body. We will give him a safe place to stay, and we will protect him if his people come looking. Elena smiled. She was proud of her crew, and proud to be human. They were doing the right thing, even if it might be dangerous. But as Tony began working on Zethkar's damaged body, none of them knew that far away in space, angry alien ships were already looking for their lost member. The Veltar did not forgive those who ran away, and they did not like other races who helped their enemies. The peaceful days on Kepler Station were about to end.